following the Arch Linux Discord voting to ban links to Twitter/X and the following death threats that were levied against myself, all official Arch Linux channels have begun a mass censorship campaign of the topic or of just my name, including the Discord server itself going into complete and total lockdown mode, not allowing any new users to sign up, and the official Arch Linux forum deleting absolutely any mention of me, including several past mentions of me that have occurred over the last 10 to 15 years. Just to bring everyone up to speed on this, because this is crazy. There's more too. So 2 days ago on February 2nd, I reported that the Arch Linux Discord server, which has around 20,000 some odd Arch users, is linked from the Arch Linux website, and is one of the biggest communities sections of Arch Linux. They voted, or were in the process of voting, to ban links to X/Twitter. And the reason was they didn't like Elon Musk, and they felt like there was too many conservatives on Twitter, and conservatives are Nazis. That was their stated reason. They were very, very clear about it, and they were crazy. Some people who objected to this and were like, why would we ban this? The conservatives are not Nazis. Elon is not a Nazi. Several of those people were banned because they were committing genocide against trans people by supporting Elon. I don't know. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I tried to follow it as best I could, but I reported on that on February 2nd. The following day, the death threats began. So over on the Arch Linux Discord server, people began saying things like, I think, quote, I think we should kill Lunduke. End quote. Or I think Lunduke should kill himself. One person was said, I don't think Lunduke should kill himself because then I wouldn't be able to kill him, etc. Those posts, by and large, were not censored in any way. I want to be very clear about this. After I contacted the company that runs Discord, and after I began publicizing that these death threats were occurring, at that point, when the bad PR began, at that point, some of that got censored, but only a small amount. One of the individuals who issued some of the death threats was muted or banned from the server, but their messages were left in place, which is unusual. This particular server likes to delete messages that they feel are naughty or mean, but they felt like they liked that one enough to keep it in place, because they like a good "we should kill Lunduke" message, apparently. The rest of the people who made similar statements, they're still on the server. They're still in there talking about the same basic stuff. So that was happening. I reported on it because it's crazy. Now, at that point, I made it very clear that where we're at is kind of an interesting place relating to Arch Linux, because the Arch Linux Discord server is in kind of this weird gray area. It is officially unofficial. It is large. It has almost 20,000 users. A huge number of the Arch Linux maintainers and developers and contributors hang out on that server. It bears the Arch Linux name. It uses the Arch Linux logo and trademark. It is linked to directly from the Arch Linux website. Arch Linux maintainers regularly point people to the Arch Linux Discord server. And if you search simply for Arch Linux Discord in any search engine, it's the top result. So it's kind of unofficial, but it's also officially official. The only thing unofficial about it is that in a few spots, in little off to the side sections, they add the word unofficial, not to the name of it, not to the main websites or anything like that, but in a couple of spots here and there, they add the word unofficial. That's the only thing that really makes it unofficial, but that statement alone does raise a little bit of a pause, right? We have to stop for a second and say, okay, if this truly is unrelated to the rest of Arch Linux, if this crazy nonsense, this violence and psychoticness that's happening over in the Arch Linux Discord is truly a real thing that's happening, but it's separate from Arch Linux? That should be easy to discern. All we have to do is contact the team behind Arch Linux on one of the variety of platforms that are considered to actually be definitely official and be like, hey, is this something that Arch Linux likes or dislikes? Do they condone it? Do they support it? Like, what's the stance on this? Right? It's real simple. So that is exactly what happened. People began asking that question on the official Arch Linux channels, and what resulted, well, it painted a very clear picture. The Arch Linux forum, for example, is undeniably the most official public communications platform for Arch Linux. And on that platform, a drove of people have been asking questions there to get clarity. What does the Arch Linux team think about this? Like this particular post I've got on screen right now. Where does Arch Linux officially stand regarding politics and Lunduke? Right? And this post, like so many others, none of them I saw were abrasive. None of them were accusatory. In fact, some of them were critical of me. Right? So they were not anti-Arch posts. They were simply looking for clarity on the topic. What is the official stance towards the Arch Linux Discord? What is the official stance towards various political things? Are we just going to stay purely non-political? Is that really the stance of Arch, which is good? People are like, yeah, let's be not political. Lots of comments like that. Every single one, 100% of them deleted. They're all gone. They're all gone. Here's that same one. Before and after. Bad request. The link you followed is incorrect or outdated. It's gone. They're all gone. Now, luckily, we managed to get archived and screenshotted versions of some of them. So we have some of those, so we can see that they were being censored en masse, but they're still censored just the same. No official response was given on the Arch Linux forum. No statements up there. You can go look for yourself. In fact, moderators of the Arch Linux forum appear to have gone back in time and scrubbed the majority of references to myself from the Arch forum. Earlier today, I went and searched for Lunduke on the Arch forum just to see if anyone's posted any additional links that I'd missed on the Arch forum. And the most recent one I saw was back in like 2014. I had looked at the exact same search the day before, and there was many more recent that had nothing to do with any of this, just other stories about Arch Linux and packaging and various technical topics. But now they've gone back in time and deleted most references to me, except it appears where it really wouldn't be viable, like where the reference to me is in the middle of a highly quoted thread and they couldn't really easily delete the reference to my name. Those tended to remain, the ones that came from like 2009, because yeah, I've been around for a long time. Those remained, but all the rest of them got deleted. So someone clearly had a little bit of a, let's just say a stick up to something, and really wanted a mass campaign of censoring anything related to my name, the Discord server, what's the official Arch policy, etc., etc. All that's been deleted, and mass censored. While all this was going on, this is very funny to me, the Arch Linux Discord server went into lockdown mode. I'm quoting here from one of the main moderators of the Arch Linux Discord server, quote, "Due to mass trolls coming in from Lunduke and the ongoing Twitter ban poll, all server invites are paused until further notice." They then clarified that they expect this ban, this lockdown, meaning no one can create a new account on the Arch Linux Discord, to exist for some time. Initially, they said it would exist for X hours, meaning they didn't know how many hours. But now they're thinking long time. It's been almost a day. I think it's going to go for a long time. So they're in full on lockdown mode over there. And in fact, they're going through and banning anyone who appears to be supportive of me, who doesn't like death threats against me, that sort of thing. You can see a screenshot here. They have a moderation log channel where it's just one after another of people being banned from the channel. And many of the reasons given are literally just trolls from Lunduke video, troll from Lunduke video, trolls from Lunduke video, over and over again. It's ridiculous. So that's what's happening over there. But then back on the other officially official channels from Arch Linux, their Arch Linux Matrix chat server, basically their replacement for IRC, which is definitely official because someone asked, and yes, it was confirmed, officially official. People are getting banned from over there as well. Quote is from an email someone sent me: "I just got banned from the Arch Linux Matrix server for bringing up your latest video about the distro, about Arch." People were asking, where can I find an official statement concerning the death threats against Lunduke on the official and unofficial Arch Discord server, which he also talks about here on YouTube. Lots of questions like that. Not all, but most of people asking questions like that got banned. Then there was a lot of people who were saying things like beep Lunduke, F-bomb Lunduke, and other such just totally delightful statements. Those were not getting censored. Near as I could tell, those were not being removed at all. Now, I should point out that many of the comments that were like a little bit like unhappy with what was happening in Arch, many of those were getting deleted. Not all, but many of them were. So they were actively censoring and deleting comments, but they weren't deleting the comments that just said to beep Lunduke. So that was nice. And most importantly, and I think this is a really critical thing. Many Arch users contacted the Arch leadership via email. And and I know this because they've been forwarding those emails to me. They've been screenshotting them. They've just been hitting the forward button, and they've been sending them over to me so that I get to see what they're sending. To my knowledge, nobody has gotten any response yet, as far as I know. I haven't heard from anyone who's gotten a response. I haven't gotten a response to my request personally. I've sent an email to a couple of individuals. No one has responded at all. So here's what we know. Here's what we know at this point. This is what we know for sure, because we got to operate in the world of concrete facts and reality here. So on the Arch Discord server, they began a vote to ban links to X because of Elon and right-wing people are Nazis and et cetera, right? Extreme politics, just crazy knee-jerk extreme politics. After I covered that, they began death threats against me, as well as a wide variety of other attacks that were just using words that are not fit for human consumption against me, right? Just awful. They only took action against some of those death threats when they were forced to, right? When they got so much bad publicity about it, when I contacted the company that hosts Discord, they took action against like one of the persons. Maybe two, like it wasn't much. And they left all the statements there. Last I saw, you can still go and see where there's just "let's go kill Lunduke" type statements just littering the Arch Linux Discord. So they just leave all those death threats in place. They're fine with those. They remove all sorts of links and so all sorts of posts constantly. They're constantly deleting statements from people and banning people. But when they call for the death of a conservative, they're all right with it. They've also been banning critics. Not all critics. If you look through the Arch Linux Discord, they've left some. They've left token critics, right? Like if there's 10 people that speak out and say, man, this is getting not cool. The death threats and the attacking people pretending like they're Nazis when they're not Nazis. This isn't cool. They'll ban like 9 of them. And they'll leave the 10th one, whatever the 10th one is, who is like, I don't like Elon or anything. And it kind of almost toes their party line, but not quite. They'll leave that one in place. They'll ban the rest of them. And then they've gone into full lockdown mode. Let's bring the screenshot of that back up because I love it so much. They've gone into full and utter lockdown mode because of the trolls coming in from Lunduke. Oh man. Now and then over on the official Arch forum, they're mass deleting all posts, 100% of posts regarding the Discord server, banning X and Twitter, or Lunduke. They're just mass deleting all of it. Now, I'm not hearing from a lot of people getting full-on banned from the Arch forum. I got one person suggested that they did, but mostly what I'm hearing about is just that the posts are just being deleted. As soon as they pop up, boom, they get deleted. Like they're on the forum for like 30 seconds before some moderator who's just hitting the refresh button is just deleting like crazy. And over on the Arch Matrix channel, again, an official channel, they're banning accounts who mention the Discord server, banning X or Lunduke. However, they do allow vulgar political comments as long as those comments are anti-Lunduke. That's what we know at this point, right? This is the information that we know for sure. And here's something that I think is worth bearing in mind as we think about all of this. At this point, there's been no official statement from the Arch leadership, right? This has all been, as far as we know, the actions of the moderation teams of their Discord server, their forums, their Matrix server, etc. Basically, everything in the Arch Linux community, all the moderators, all the people who have an admin control, that this is what they're doing right now. Are they doing it at the behest of Arch leadership? We don't know. Are they doing it against the wishes of Arch leadership? Well, technically, we don't know. However, making a statement against a death threat is extremely easy. You just say, I don't like death threats, or don't do death threats, okay? See how easy that was? Took me 1.5 seconds. Not a whole lot more is really needed. Likewise, making statements against extremist, hateful politics, like what we're seeing in like the Arch Linux Discord server, very easy. Don't make extreme political statements. Done. Don't make extreme political statements in the name of Arch Linux, using our trademarks and using our logos, and what everyone thinks that you're speaking for us. Don't do that. Done. Easy. Takes seconds. It doesn't even have to be all that carefully crafted, because the reality is it's not that crazy of a statement to make. You just make a little half sentence. You don't even need to use proper punctuation. So easy to make that statement. However, mass censorship and banning campaigns takes real, coordinated, and continued effort. Right on the Arch Linux official forum, there is someone sitting on there, right there with the button. As soon as they see anything that's mentioning that evil, dastardly Lunduke, or even brings up how some of the people in power within Arch Linux are doing some real weird political things, and maybe we shouldn't do that. Ban, block, delete, like they're on top of it, right? That takes effort. Right? You have to put in time and energy and dedication to do that 24 hours a day, which is what they're doing. They did it all night long. There's probably multiple people putting in significant effort on multiple servers to make that happen. That takes dedication to a cause. So what we know right now is that internally, among the people who have the ability to be administrative over any of the official or unofficial Arch Linux channels, they are working incredibly hard. They are dedicated towards censoring all of you, towards deleting anything that even slightly references my name, and promoting and not censoring and not deleting death threats against tech journalists or extremist politics, because that's all remaining. They've left all that. So that's where it is right now. That tells you a great deal about where they're at. Because let's be honest, the real story here is not that some wackadoodle on a random chat board doesn't like Lunduke. If I had a nickel, am I right? That's not a story. The real interesting thing here is, how does Arch Linux respond? How does the leadership respond? And how does the community of Arch Linux respond? Because all of those are interesting things. If a group of individuals, moderators, people in positions of power within Arch Linux come out and are like, we got to kill Lunduke, we got to ban evil Nazis from X, we got to hurt Elon Musk and anyone who's right wing and conservative, right? If they come out and say that, it's like, whoa, okay, crazy. Now we have to stop. Okay, now what is the leadership of Arch? The very top dogs, what do they think? Well, they're silent. They refuse to say anything over the course of days now, as things escalated out of control, as people across the internet are like, well, forget it, Arch goes in the dustbin then. And they're not saying anything. That tells you a great deal about where their priorities are. And when you look at the Arch Linux user community, well, Arch Linux users are split. There's some Arch Linux users that are just like, yeah, let's fight the evil conservatives and the Musks and the Lundukes and the whatnot, clearly. And then there's the other Arch Linux users who are like, this sucks. Stop it. Go back to doing software and stop being so gosh darn political, right? And so what you're kind of seeing is, among the user base, almost a civil war. And then in the top leadership positions, they're refusing to speak out against anything that's yucky and gross and violent and illegal. It tells you a lot. It tells you an awful lot about what's happening and where things are going. So a lot of people have asked, as things have gone on, is Arch Linux woke? Is Arch Linux, have they gone hardcore extremist political, even though they have claimed for years to be a non-political Linux distribution? And up until now, my answer is as far as I know, they haven't said anything, right? I mean, people asked me just a few weeks ago, is Arch Linux political? And I'm like, not that I'm aware of. I haven't heard anything. I've got nothing to report on here where Arch Linux is all woke and extremist political and all these other things. I don't have anything to say like that. But now, all of a sudden, in a matter of days, it all comes flooding out. And if you ask me now, is Arch Linux woke? I'd be like, well, it sure looks like it. Yeah. I mean, is there a place? Because, here's a good test. Is there a place in the Arch Linux world where I could go and begin talking, even just about technical topics? And I think the answer is no. I think if I appeared on the Arch Linux forum or in the Arch Linux Discord server and just started talking and being like, hey, everybody, I have this issue with Wayland or X11 or whatever, I think I'd get banned. Is there banning anyone else that just says my name? And Arch is not alone in this. It's a good test. I hate to use the phrase litmus test, but it is. It's a good test to see where an organization is at politically, like how they feel like they should enforce their political views on others, to mention my name, right? Like if you go to the Gnome Foundation and you mention the name Lunduke, you're banned. They actually have an official policy. Lifetime ban for mentioning Lunduke. That's a policy of the Gnome Foundation. It's a written policy. I've covered this one before. It's ridiculous, and that tells you a lot, right? It doesn't matter in what context you're mentioning my name. As long as you're saying anything neutral or positive about me, you're banned, and I can't appear. I've created an account there before and got banned before I said anything. The same thing happened with NixOS. NixOS, I created an account on one of their platforms, never said anything at all, and forgot I had an account there. Many months, a year later, when NixOS began conducting a purge of conservatives, a purge of what they called Nazis, but really was just people who were centrists and conservatives, I reported on it. They then went on they made an official policy in NixOS where I'm banned from any platform that they have, their source control, their forums, their everything, before I could even create an account on most of them. I had an account on one of them I completely forgot I even had. And never posted anything. Banned. All of them banned. People banned for just saying my name. That tells you a great deal about where they're at politically. And maybe that's important to you, maybe it's not. But the reality is, I think a vast majority of people are going to feel very, very uncomfortable inside of the various Arch Linux communities, whether it's the Matrix server, the forum, or source control, or their Discord server, or anything else, with everything else that's going on. And that's sad to see. From a technical perspective, I have no hate of Arch. I want to see it succeed, just like I want to see OpenSUSE succeed and NixOS succeed and Debian succeed. Distributions that have gone pretty hard extremist politics. I want to see them succeed, but in order for them to succeed, they have to abandon their extremely divisive, exclusionary, hateful, racist, sexist, hardcore, woke, extremist policies. They have to do it in order to be successful. They're killing themselves. And like right here with what's going on with Arch, if you ask me straight out right now, is Arch woke? Clearly it is. Does that mean everyone within Arch is woke? No. In fact, I'm pretty confident they're not. But by and large, the organization is allowing people who have woke extremist politics to run things. And that is very quickly coming back to bite people. We'll have to watch and see what happens from here on out. I mean, right now, everything's in lockdown. There's mass censorship happening. We'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. It would be great to see Arch Linux reform themselves, to come out and say, oh, whoa. This is going in a bad direction. This isn't what Arch Linux wants to be. All the moderators and the administrators and contributors who were pushing us in this direction, you're out. You're out, and everyone who wants to focus on the code and the quality and not be political and not be woke, you can come on back. We'll be a meritocracy. We're going to be a meritocracy, and you can come on back. You know what? They do that. I would love to put out a show, Arch Linux Embraces Meritocracy. I'd love to put out that show. And you know what? I guarantee you, I put out that show, people would flood to Arch Linux. Guaranteed. Just like what we're seeing happening like with Open Mandriva and whatnot. People are flooding to that distribution because they came out and they said, we're not political. We're just a meritocracy and we're going to focus on the code. The same thing would happen with Arch. With all the crazy politics of Debian and so many other distributions, people are looking for a new home operating system. And I saw a lot of people wanted it to be Arch. But Arch shot themselves in the foot and then noticed that they shot themselves in the foot. And then I was standing over here and said, hey, Arch, is that a hole in your foot? And so they took the gun and they shot the other foot and then they shot their hand. And then they said, I'm going to kill you, Lunduke. Oh, okay. They've lost their mind. With that, thank you to all the Lunduke Journal subscribers. I couldn't do this without you. I don't take any money from big tech. No corporate sponsors here, unlike every other major tech news outlet. We're totally big tech free. Notice this show, ad free, all the way till the very end. And the only advertisement in the Lunduke Journal shows is at the end. I'm like, hey, Lunduke Journal. Go to lunduke.com. There's lots of links. Tons of free ways where you can watch and listen and interact and read and all sorts of good stuff, and how to become a tech whistleblower. Whether you're part of an open source project like Arch, looking at you, people inside Arch that don't agree with what's happening, or you're in a big tech company, you can contact the Lunduke Journal. If you need to stay anonymous, I have ways to make sure you stay anonymous. And note that the Lunduke Journal has busted some pretty huge stories over the last year or two, including with Red Hat, IBM, Microsoft, and more, stuff that has resulted in massive lawsuits against these companies. Seriously, the Lunduke Journal reporting is inside of legal documents all over the place now. And I never, not once, have given up a source who wanted to stay anonymous. If they want to stay anonymous, no one besides this cranium is ever going to know who they are. And that's a firm policy here at the Lunduke Journal. So there's lots of ways to contact me. And thank you to everyone who subscribes. I couldn't do this without you. Every nickel and buckazoid that everyone tosses in the cookie jar goes straight to the running of the Lunduke Journal. Couldn't do it without you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.